Hello everyone, today I'm going to be reading Packy McCormick's blog post, the latest one, Infinity Review, Infinity Possibilities. And this is a different kind of video than what I'm used to doing. I want to do this video with you because I know that Packy writes really long form articles, and I really want us to kind of drill down into his article and to try to understand it together, because I hear from a lot of people that Packy's writing is really interesting, but it's really long and it's hard to digest. So we're going to try to digest this together. And I'll admit, for me, it's easier to digest when I try to explain to you, the viewers, what we're reading here. So we have on one end the blog post, and you're going to have me on one side of the screen. So we're going to go through this together. And he has here a quick note before he starts the blog post. He was overwhelmed by how much people submitted interest to back his Not Boring Capital fund. So if you don't know who Packy McCormick is, he's an excellent writer, and he has now a venture capital firm that he just started, Not Boring. And I highly recommend it if you're an angel investor, a startup founder, just somebody who wants to understand where the world is going. Packy is a very interesting person that you want to be following, so go follow his Substack. Now, this is a sponsorship for BlockFi. I'm not going to pay any attention to that. And let's dive in. Hi, friends. Sometimes I discover a company that makes me so giddy I can't shut up about it. Ask everyone, have you heard of this company? Often they'll say, yeah, duh. Occasionally they'll say, nope, never heard of it. Today's company falls into the latter camp. That's my favorite kind to tell you about. Note, nothing in this piece is investment advice, just nerding out on fascinating new model. Let's get into it. Infinity Review, Infinity Possibility. It looks easy because there's a cute Axie, an innocent looking Axie, but when you're in the game, it's like playing chess. It's a strategic game. Howard, Filipino Axie Infinity player, play to earn. From an internet cafe in Cabanatuan City, Philippines, a 22-year-old named Howard described the game he plays to make a living as innocent looking but strategic. That game, Axis Infinity, is a Pokemon-like game built on the Ethereum blockchain in which people buy digital pets called Axes as NFTs and breed, battle, and trade them. It's cute, it's unassuming, this is what it looks like. Okay, so long story short, on the blockchain, there is a game. This is an Ethereum blockchain. And if you don't know what Ether is, I highly recommend going to one of the former videos on the channel that explains what Ethereum is. And imagine if you're like a grown-up who has had a Tamagotchi or had, like one of these virtual Pokemons or a virtual pet online. Imagine a world full of these where these pets are actually NFTs. So if you don't know what an NFT is, by the way, please go to the video I made about NFTs. Both videos, by the way, about Ether and NFTs are short videos, so it's a 1-minute video that you can jump into and then just jump back to this video. So continuing on. But Howard's quote could just as easily describe Axie Infinity as a business and an economic force. It's cute, it's a game, there's blockchain stuff, it's fun, but there's a lot going under all that cuteness. That's the whole idea behind Axie Infinity. Axie co-founder and growth lead Jeff Zierlin told me. The idea to introduce something that's new and a little scary, crypto, through something fun, familiar, and nostalgic. Then adding property rights and economic freedom make it really special. So I love the just combination of introducing crypto in a cute way. That, for me, that just is an exciting concept. Axie's cuteness obfuscates an absurdly fast-growing business, one counterintuitively trying to vertically integrate in a Web3 ecosystem known for composing modularly. Okay, I must admit, one of the hardest sentences I read this week. Beyond the business, it has a wildly bold master plan to reshape economic policy and local governments by showing what's possible when people work in the metaverse. In its white paper, Axie developer Sky Mavis explicitly says, you can think of Axie as a nation with a real economy. That's the grand plan. Right now, most of the focus on Axie centers around its eye-popping growth. Axie Infinity is picking up players and revenue at nearly unprecedented clip. This is its monthly revenue chart. Wow, $79 million in revenue in 18 days. Crazy. In April, Axie did about $670K, May did $3 million, in June 12.2. In just 18 days into the month, it's already at $79 million in July. Wow. Delphi Digital projects that it will close the month at 153 million. The Axie protocol generates revenue by taking 4.25% fee when players buy and sell Axie NFTs in its marketplace, and by charging fees for breeding Axies to create new ones in the form of its token, Axie Infinity Shards and Smooth Love Potion and AXS and SLP. AXS and SLP are denominated in Ethereum, which has been cut by more than half since May. Axie has grown US dollar revenue even in the face of falling Ethereum prices. So I'm gonna take a stop because it's probably a lot to kind of, get your head around. So they're blowing up in revenue. We know that they're just really killing it, and they might reach, $150, $250, $300 million MRR and find stability, and it might crash, who knows. Now, something to note that the transactions are in Ethereum. So the US dollar Ethereum kind of currency exchange was not in favor of Ethereum holders in the past 3 months. Ethereum has been cut and lost a lot of its value. So they made this revenue even though Ethereum was going on a downturn. So this makes this all the more impressive. If those were annual revenue growth numbers for any business investors, would be salivating. 200x revenue growth in 3 years would be nearly unheard of. 200x in 3 months. Delphi projects that Axie will end the year having generated $1.1 billion in revenue, mostly from fees generated through its NFT marketplace and from breeding Axies to meet demand from hundreds of thousands of new players each month. There are more than 600k players currently around the world, as many as 60% of whom are in the Philippines. But while those numbers are mouth-watering, they're actually not the biggest or fastest even ever in gaming. The rare gaming mega hit gets really big really fast, many fade away just as quickly. What makes Axie Infinity unique is that this wild growth is just the first step in a much larger plan that includes vertical integration, aggregation, decentralization, and literal world building. Even in the very first innings of its master plan, the product is still in alpha. Axie is doing that kind of growth as a game built on the blockchain while pioneering a new model at intersection of work and play to earn. Scores of people in the Philippines and Vietnam have quit their jobs and make a better living playing Axie for hours every day. They can earn Smooth Love Potion, a token earned through Axie gameplay that can be exchanged for fiat, which in turn can be used to pay for food, shelter, medical bills, and all of that other things needed to survive. Some people who were previously making $5 per day now make $20. Axie is already providing out a lot of things important to crypto long-term success. NFTs are alive and well, and their success does not depend on high-ticket art sales. Quite the opposite. This is a glimpse at the true promise of NFTs. Non-crypto people are being onboarded to crypto through a video game. Crypto can create new economic opportunities for all types of people globally, not just whales. DeFi, degens, and Bitcoin maxis, delivering on promise of a more level playing field while also capturing economic value. Crypto's network effects can create unbelievably fast-growing business with moats. Okay, so I'm gonna stop here. Packy talks here about how NFTs are much more than art. So if you go online and you see all kinds of artwork being sold as NFTs, videos, GIFs, you're gonna see that there was like a massive spike and then a huge drop in these NFT sales. And Packy here is talking about how this can be much more than just like these art NFT projects that were really creating a lot of hype around NFTs and just now faded away completely. So Packy here says that there's a promise here that there's going to be economic value to real people through this kind of, metaverse. So there's more to this whole world than just the hype. One of the main criticisms of crypto so far is it has no real-world value or application, but Axie makes you reconsider what real-world value is. In Axie's case, the value comes from providing meaning, income, and opportunity to the players directly. A typical game would spend millions of dollars on marketing and keep the majority of the profits to itself. Axie spends nothing on marketing, but lets players keep most of the value created. That should lead to a stickier game and more opportunities for expansion. And that's just its first act. It wants to reshape, work, and build the most valuable IP in history, all owned by the players themselves. My favorite Web3 projects adhere to Chris Dixon's idea that the next big thing will start out looking like a toy. Axie certainly fits the bill. You may have started hearing about Axie Infinity over the past couple of weeks, catching tweets or reading coverage in crypto-focused publications like CoinDesk, Delphi, and Bankless. You may have never heard of the word Axie until 2 minutes ago, but there is no doubt that you'll be hearing about it everywhere soon. Today we'll go deep on Axie, covering Axie's origins, a recent history of gaming business models, play to earn, Axie by the numbers, infinity revenue, vertical integration in a world of Lego blocks, decentralizing the Axie universe, infinity possibility. Axie's origins. Okay, so we're going to start with Axie's origins. In November 2017, CryptoKitties came roaring out of the gate as the first digital asset to use the now omnipresent ERC 721 standard for non-fungible tokens. So we're getting really technical here. Less than a month later in Vietnam, Sky Mavis founder and the CEO Trung Tan Nguyen came up with the idea for Axie Infinity. What if you could combine the gameplay of Pokemon with NFT ownership and breeding of CryptoKitties? Okay, so if you don't know what CryptoKitties is, I hope you have the link to this article, and if you don't, I have it in the description. Click on the article to the link, find out what CryptoKitties are. CryptoKitties is one of the kind of first forms of NFTs, and let's continue. It would look like Axie Infinity, a Pokemon-inspired universe where anyone can earn tokens through skilled gameplay and contributions to the ecosystem. Players can battle, collect, raise, and build a land-based kingdom for their pets. When Trung bred the idea and mechanics behind Pokemon and CryptoKitties, it generated a couple of key differences. Instead of owning Pokemon cards, players buy their Axies as NFTs. Instead of just owning cards or NFTs for appreciation, players can make a living playing the game by earning ERC20 tokens that they can exchange for local currency. Trung started building in December 2015. January 2018, when Ethereum hit then all-time highs over 1,300, he recruited Masumne as art director and game designer. Meanwhile, Trung kept playing CryptoKitties, where he met two more co-founders and fellow CryptoKitties enthusiasts. In March, Gio joined to lead growth. In May, Alexander Leonard Larson came on as COO. In July, Andy Ho joined as CTO, finalizing the five-headed co-founding team. So this is really the origin of the company and how the team was founded. And one thing I want to note here is you see that this did not come out of the blue. These guys were on this in the early days. December 2017, January 2018, at least in the way I see Ethereum, was pretty long ago. There's a lot that has been happening lately, and there's so much that happened in the world, and the world changed in so many ways in the past 2-3 years. So these guys, in my opinion, were very early, even though there will be crypto kind of, really hardcore fans will say, what, 2017, like it was really late in crypto. In my opinion, for the average person, 2017 was very early in the days of crypto. The team dropped the Origin Axie pre-sale, selling the first Axie characters as NFTs in February 2018, raising 900 Ether, just as the price of Ether was beginning to crash off all-time highs. So they're talking about that crash that happened before this year's crash. In March, they launched their own NFT marketplace where Axie collectors could trade. In May, they released breeding, allowing players to combine Axies to make new ones. In October, players could battle their Axies. And in January 2019, they raised 3,200 Ether by selling land in Lunacia, an open world owned, operated, and controlled by players. So if you want to click on these links, like I said, I have the link to the original article in the description. So if you want to know what Lunacia is and click on that link, I'll just head to the original article. So let's just check the numbers. Axie Infinity was born in 2017 crypto boom and kept building through the crypto winter. So, okay, I want to take a note here together with you. I heard David Sachs say in the past that when there's a crash in markets and nobody's raising, it's easy to build stuff. So if you manage to raise money at the last second before like a market crash of any sort, startups, crypto, public, whatever, that is the best time to raise money, just because if there's a crash and it's hard for other people to raise later, you get to keep all the talent, you get to build quietly, you have less competitors. So hat off to David Sachs with that great kind of information. So just so you know, they started right at the peak and then collected money right after the first crash. So you can see that their pre-sale really was before it completely crashed, and the breeding game released before going into that winter. And that land sale was really at the bottom, but they managed to build throughout that winter. So the David Sachs analogy might not fit here exactly in the ideal scenario, but really kudos to these guys building throughout the crypto winter. Okay. So what started as an idea in the peak of the bull market became a labor of love in a deep and depressing bear market known as the crypto winter. When I spoke to Gio and asked him what catalyzed Axie's recent ascent, he said that it all started with building throughout the bear market when no one cared. What seems like cursed timing actually turned out to be an advantage. It let the Axie team build and improve the product carefully and relative obscurity while attracting a small core of true believers. That's important. One of the challenges that both games and new crypto projections jointly faced is that they can attract a lot of hype and fanfare, generate a ton of revenue quickly, and then die off just as fast. Gio pointed out the paradox in building communities at scale. The community needs to be small first to work when it gets really big. That's what makes Axie hard to copy. If you build a competitor now, you're going to attract the kind of people who want to find the next Axie, not the kind of people who are actually interested in moving gaming forward. From small beginnings, Axie has gotten really big. On Friday, I'm going to show in the video the date which Friday we're talking about, it passed 600,000 daily active players. Its Discord server, the heart of the community, has 540,000 members. When I hopped into the Discord yesterday, a new member joined every 5 seconds. Axie's growth is objectively impressive, but it's all the more impressive when you realize how much more involved the onboarding is than you're used to from a typical game. The Axie team published a getting started guide that takes 6 unfamiliar steps to even get to learn how to play. Okay, so here are the steps. Are you ready? First one is to download a digital wallet like MetaMask and load it with some Ether. You can acquire Ether from Coinbase, Binance, or local cryptos depending on your country. Download Ronin wallet. Deposit Ether to Ronin using the Ronin bridge. Acquire at least 3 Axies from the Axie market. Log in with MetaMask here and set up your email and password. Download the application here, click play now, the top right. Learn how to play from guides like this and fan sites like Axie World. Just getting started requires acquiring Ether, signing up for a MetaMask wallet, transferring Ether, downloading another wallet, transferring Ether again, acquiring NFTs on Axie's own NFT marketplace, and logging in with MetaMask, and then finally downloading the application itself on desktop or mobile. 85% of Axie's players are on Android. Then, to join the community, you need to download Discord, create an account, enter the welcome room, verify your phone number, agree to community standards, and type join trainers to get into the main rooms. I typed join trainers, nothing happened. I had to wait for 30 minutes, typed it again and nothing happened, and still I waited to try again. Would imagine my experience isn't unique. None of this is necessarily smooth or easy. Okay, pause. So as you can see, there's a high barrier of entry when it comes to the technicalities. So technically, it's really hard to get into this. It's not easy. So what I want to note here is that you have to do a lot of steps to sign up. This is not an easy process. The amount of users they have is very impressive to the amount of transactions and revenue they have. And it's very impressive in terms of how fast they're scaling. So the question that I'm asking now at this point, before even reading the rest for you, is that how many people are just early adopters in this world? And is there going to be like a glass ceiling that we're going to reach really fast? And I'm kind of asking myself, will there be competitors with easier onboardings? So those are the questions I'm kind of asking. To start playing, you need 3 Axies. You can acquire Axies in the marketplace where the cheapest of the 99 333 available is going for 0.1 Ether, or $195 to the time of this article. As a writer, it's poor form to walk you through the whole process here. Even just reading all of that seems like a lot. Yes, it is. I probably lost a few of you. Well, maybe, but if you lost some of them, maybe they're still with us here. Imagine what it's like to actually do all of these steps. Geo pointed out openly that it's really difficult to start playing Axie Infinity. Yet despite all of the hurdles, Axie is growing like crazy. There must be something magical waiting on the onboarding. On Invest Like the Best, Gabriel Layden, the CEO of gaming company Machine Zone, made the counterintuitive observation that investors should look for opportunities where things are broken but still growing. NFTs are important the same way the App Store was important, meaning that at the beginning of the App Store, everything was broken. It took like 3 months to get an app approved. Okay, so if you don't know what was happening on the App Store in the beginning days of the App Store was like filled with this gold rush of people trying to build as bunch of apps as possible just to get on people's phones, and the teams that were approving these apps took their time with checking privacy and making sure that the users are not getting any kind of malicious apps, and it took forever for these apps to be approved. So it was a real nightmare and it was growing like crazy. That's what you want. You want an environment that's completely broken. There's like a couple spaces still in this environment phase, and crypto is clearly one of them. I agree. You should listen to the whole conversation, but take away from this particular section is that if something is growing like crazy despite the design and UX, it must be delivering something truly innovative and meeting a previously unmet need. So I can completely agree with this. If something is completely broken, people are still using it, it probably is generating a lot of value. And when I'm thinking about like one of the names that pops up to my mind is Robinhood. Robinhood, the app throughout its history was broken many times and had like an addicting experience anyway. And it solved for a lot of people the problem of just not understanding how to kind of work inside these apps. So kudos to Robinhood for that. And let's continue. So in Axie's case, the innovation is the play to earn model and the opportunity to make a living in the metaverse by playing a game. To understand why it's so innovative, we need to understand how games typically make money today. So we're about to drop in here to the recent history of gaming business models. And before we start that, I just want to make sure that you all understand what is a metaverse. And to understand what a metaverse is, I recommend reading some of the links I left you in the description to understand metaverse better. And now let's continue. So Axie Infinity isn't the fastest growing game of all time, nor the highest earning. To understand what makes Axie's growth special, we need to look at a few other gaming business models first. In June, Japanese mobile game Ni no Kuni Crossworld set the speed record, hitting $100 million in revenue in just 11 days, despite only launching in 5 markets. So they launched in Japan, Korea, Taiwan, Hong Kong, and you can see that $100 million in 11 days, that's crazy. Like the previous fastest 100 million, Pokemon Go, the highest grossing mobile game of all time, Honor of Kings, 9.97 billion, Epic's breakout hit Fortnite, and the most of today's popular game, Ni no Kuni, is a free-to-play game. Most free-to-play games give players the full game for free and make money by selling virtual in-game items like skins and emotes. So I want to like kind of clarify this. These games are free to play, you get into them for free, but then you want a bunch of stuff that's going to cost you money. It can be a skin. So let's say you're playing Fortnite and you want to look like your favorite Marvel character. That can cost you money. Probably that skin kind of has a licensing deal with Disney. So also brands can make money on these platforms. So this whole metaverse ecosystem expands way beyond the game itself and expands to other companies. Chris Dixon, today the most sophisticated games, Fortnite, League of Legends, Clash Royale, give away the game itself and charge for virtual goods. Okay, take Fortnite for example. In Fortnite, you can start playing the game with a generic character for free. But if you want to upgrade to play as, say, Wolverine, you can buy the Wolverine skin from Fortnite maker Epic Games via the item shop, using Fortnite's own in-game currency. V-Bucks. Free-to-play can be hell of a model. In 2020, Fortnite generated $5.1 billion in revenue. Importantly, in Fortnite, everything that a user buys is cosmetic. Buying a certain skin won't give you a better chance of winning battles, just like buying a new shirt won't make you stronger. Okay, so people are just buying accessories to look differently. It does not help them win the game. So take that into account when we're talking about this, that there is no relation here to how good you're going to be playing. You just do it to show off that you can or that you have style, or for all of the reasons that people spend on fancy things. Fortnite is a game, but it's also a proto-metaverse and a community. Its Discord server has 805,000 members. It's a mini economy centrally managed by Epic Games, which reaps huge profits from players. The fastest growing mobile game ever, Ni no Kuni and Pokemon Go are also free to play, but their critics claim that they're a dirty subset of free-to-play called pay-to-win. Okay, so pay-to-win, for those of you who don't know, the more you put money into the game, the higher the chances of you actually playing better. In pay-to-win games, players can pay for items or skills that give them advantages in the game. The quotes from Redditors on Ni no Kuni highlight that the issues with the model, it's one of those MMOs that you will be stuck at some level and can't progress because of the experience, and the gear and pet gacha look like a massive P2W. You rarely get the currency at all. Okay, so like he says, essentially pay up or get stuck. Like he says, pay up or get stuck. There's also many Redditors in the thread who contest the $100 million revenue claim based on weak download numbers. Either census tile revenue data is off or the game is benefiting from much higher than average spend from whales, the small group of players who spend the vast majority of money in free-to-play games. So the note here is that in some free-to-play games, there's just a small amount of people that are spending all the money, and that's where the revenue for the game comes from. Even seemingly innocent games like King's Candy Crush can end up costing players a bucket load of cash to buy things like more lives. When the game first took off, the internet was full of horror stories of parents checking their credit card statements to find that their kids had run up thousands of dollars worth of Candy Crush purchases on their credit cards. In 2014, Apple refunded parents $32 million for unauthorized in-game purchases across a variety of free-to-play games. Sounds like peanuts. I'm pretty sure that the numbers are way higher. Roblox, founded in 2012 and played mostly by kids, is also free-to-play, but it had innovated in a few ways. First, instead of plugging in a credit card and letting their kids run wild, parents can buy a set amount of Robux, the world's in-game currency, for their kids to spend. Second, instead of building everything themselves, Roblox built a platform on top which developers and designers create games and items that they can sell to users in exchange for Robux. In Q1 2021, Roblox did $387 million in revenue and paid out $118 in developer exchange fees. So 31% of the revenue on Roblox went back to the people on the platform. Now, it's important for me to note, I am an investor in Roblox shares. I have been from day one of the IPO. I am long Roblox, and I believe that Roblox will continue to grow. According to the company, 27% of every dollar spent via Roblox goes to developers, 25% to app stores, 12% to invest in and support the platform, and 27% to Roblox itself. Okay, you can see here the chart. Okay, Roblox and games worlds like Minecraft are a huge step forward. Instead of just paying money to game developers, users can actually make money by developing for the ecosystem. It does, however, fall just short of Bill Gates' line for a platform. Something is a platform if everything built on top of the platform makes more than the platform itself, given that it takes home an equal amount as developers. But with Roblox, general users can make a living via a game. That's a win. Previously, people could make money via gaming by winning esports tournaments or by gold farming, which I don't agree because there's also to stream, so you can just be a streamer and play games. So Let's Play is another example. So Packy, maybe you want to edit and add this. Doing Let's Play is also another way to actually make money via gaming. You can be a Twitch streamer or YouTube or Facebook Watch streamer. Okay. As described in 2017 New York Times piece, Chinese workers would spend 12 hours per day for 30 cents per hour collecting gold and other digital assets in World of Warcraft. Their boss made $3 for selling those coins to an online retailer, and the retailer made as much as 20, selling them to American and European players who didn't want to spend all that time themselves. Gold farming was viewed as exploitative and banned by the games in which it occurred, if only there were a way for players around the world to earn money for themselves. All of which brings us back to Axis Infinity. So Axis operates an entirely new kind of model, play to earn, enabled by the blockchain, unlike a traditional free-to-play model in which developers sell to players, or a Roblox-like model in which the developer intermediates transactions. Axis Infinity is a player-to-player. So what Axis does to differentiate itself is that it is a player-to-player. So the players are making money for more players. Axis just takes transaction cuts. They are just like a credit card company. So imagine Imagine Axie in the game as Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. Okay, play to earn in the new model that rewards players for the time and effort they spend both playing the game and growing the ecosystem. According to Axie, Axie has a 100% player-owned real money economy. Rather than selling the game its items or copies, the developers of the game focus on growing the player-to-player economy and take small fees to monetize. Axies are created by players using in-game resources, SLP and AXS, and sold to new other players. The holders of the AXS token are the government that receives tax revenues. Game resources and items are tokenized, meaning they can be sold to anyone, anywhere on open peer-to-peer markets. Axie is explicitly not free to play. To start playing Axis Infinity, you need to turn fiat into Ether in order to buy 3 Axies, the cheapest of which will cost you, like we said, $195 at today's price. But instead of paying a developer for the right to essentially rent that avatar, or land, or item, or bundle, you own it. And by playing the game, you own the game and can make decisions on its future development or complete quests to earn real income. If you want to stop playing, you can just sell your Axies and AXS and SLP tokens and move on. When new players enter, they don't buy Axies from Sky Mavis or Axis Infinity. They buy them from other players who either sell their own Axies or breed new ones. As Gio put it, players sell entry tickets to the universe. The Axie protocol takes 4.25% commission on each trade on the marketplace and a fee in the form of AXS and SLP tokens when new Axies are bred. Unlike traditional models in Axies play to earn model, 95% of the revenue goes to the player. Okay, so I want to explain some things. So the Axie marketplace basically sells these NFTs, but Axie is not the one selling them. So the players are the ones selling new players, and they're probably newly bred. And this is what's really interesting. Currently, the price is based on what is the lowest amount a player is willing to get paid to sell you one of these creatures. So they're breeding them, selling them, and the price to entry is going to be what is going to basically either stifle growth or generate a lot of growth on the platform. And this is going to be very interesting because this is really a real economy. So now I'm starting to understand what Packy says here. Like the company is really on the sidelines just taking transactions. Players sell entry tickets to the universe is probably one of the most important things you need to remember to understand this model. Okay, playing the game is an important job. You need a lot of people to play to concurrently make it fun. Part of what makes a player versus player game fun is playing against people at your skill level. And for that to happen, you need to quickly match people with other people who will give them the right level of challenge. Play to earn makes Axie more fun by adding player liquidity. It's worth giving people most of the money to achieve that. The roughly 5% that Axie protocol takes goes into the community treasury, which currently stands at 46,000 Ether. And the treasury is controlled by token holders, including but not limited to the developers, Sky Mavis, who holds about 20% of the nation's government's token AXS. Axie is building more than a game. It's building a virtual nation with its own economy, but it all starts with the game. Here's how it works. This should sound familiar to Pokemon players and like Greek to the rest of us. Okay, in Axie Infinity, players collect, raise, and ultimately battle cute digital pets called Axies. At the core of the game are battles, either player versus player or player versus environment. Each Axie has different stats: health, moral, skill, and speed that give them strengths and weaknesses in battle. So if you ever played Pokemon on the Game Boy, this kind of resembles that. I used to play Pokemon on my Game Boy when I was younger, and on Nintendo 64 there was like this kind of way that you can take your Pokemon from the Game Boy into Nintendo 64. It was really cool actually. So this is familiar to me. If it's not familiar to you, go watch some videos of people playing Pokemon online and just familiarize yourself with that. Adding some complexity is the fact that each Axie's stats are dependent on its class: beast, reptile, aquatic, bug, plant, bird, moon, nut, star, and body parts: eyes, ears, horns, mouth, back, and tail. Some classes are better at attacking and some are better at taking damage. Axes operate in teams of 3, so part of the skill comes in configuring teams with a mix of attackers and tanks optimally constructed to fight certain configurations of other teams' axes. In the battle, the two sides take turns using their Axis cards to attack the other side. Cards might have different impacts depending on the class of Axis you're using it against. For example, a bird card used to attack a beast Axis will cause an additional 15% damage. Each pair of classes has such a relationship with the others. Okay, so very similar to Pokemon where you have water beating fire and fire beating, grass, and you have electricity beating water, and you have, if I'm not mistaken, rock beating electricity. So just kind of like me nerding out in Pokemon. As Howard mentioned, this is a strategic game. It depends more on skill than luck of the draw. If you want to go deeper on the game itself, start here. For our purposes, what's most interesting is that by winning PvP and PvE battles and completing daily quests, players can earn Smooth Love Potion, SLP tokens, so named because they're required to breed new Axes. This is where play to earn comes in. Okay, the top PvP players can earn up to 600 SLP a day, but for the typical worker, the max is around 200, which translates to $52 in current SLP price of 0.26. In the US, that's not a ton of money, but over $1,500 a month is meaningful and potentially life-changing amount of money in many developing nations. With those SLP players, can do a few things. Breed new Axes. Okay, so I really want to stop here. In many countries, this is life-changing money, and certainly it makes sense that a metaverse like this, where people can actually earn money online through their gaming, will start in those countries. As in more developed countries, kind of the price, the currency, the ratio wouldn't make sense. But you can imagine that this elevates these countries and, in a sense, put these countries in a situation where there might be gamers causing inflation later in developing countries. So this is like very interesting to me and something to think about. But let's continue. Breed new Axes. Axis Infinity doesn't mint new Axes out of thin air. To meet the demand from new players who each need 3 Axes to play, existing Axis holders breed new Axes. So I kind of picked that up before we reached here and I told you about it. So again, players are the gate to other players. Each Axis can be bred a maximum of 7 times and it costs the same base of 4 AXS plus an increasing number of SLP. The more a particular Axis has been bred, a virgin Axis costs 4 AXS plus 150 SLP to breed. Okay, so you're breeding an Axis for $110. According to, the floor price, $195 per Axis, that's a profitable trade. Okay, yes, that's a very profitable trade. Speculate. SLP holders might want to hold on to their SLP to speculate on the price. Over the past year, the price of SLP is up 21.8x from 0.0122 to 0.2664. Exchange for fiat. Both AXS and SLP are currently tradable on major decentralized exchanges like Uniswap. In the near future, they may be able to do so in Axis' own DEX. Many players earn SLP, then exchange it for money to pay their real-world bills. It's the last use that's captured the public's imagination and caused such an explosion in Axis usage. During the COVID, many people in developing countries who are living hand-to-mouth as it was lost their jobs. They turned to Axis Infinity to make ends meet. There's even a show documentary, Play to Earn, about the phenomena. So I haven't watched this documentary yet. I'm pretty sure it's going to be fascinating. So let's watch this documentary together and let's see how long it is. If it's too long, we're just going to watch snippets of it and continue. Yeah, 18 minutes. We're not going to watch all of it, but...
I think I will tell someone that this Axis Infinity is a fun game. You actually pet the Axis, and by playing this game, you actually earn some tokens in-game and you can sell it in cryptocurrency and then cryptocurrency to a real money.
At first look, it looks easy because there's a cute Axis, innocent look Axis. But when you're in the game, it's like playing chess. It's a strategic game.
This is actually the first game that I heard, which is play to earn. So being said that, most people will actually be skeptical on playing a play to earn game. maybe for them, it will be actually, it's too good to be true.
In the Philippines, a Southeast Asian nation with a population of 111 million people, many were already teetering on the poverty line, and the economic fallout of COVID-19 was brutal. But in Cabanatuan City, Nueva Ecija, a rural province north of Manila, one community found an unusual way to make ends meet. Welcome to the world of play to earn.
Okay, so this looks like a really interesting documentary, and I'm probably going to watch it. Let's see. The documentary showcases Filipino Untitled City, where Axis spread from one person to many, including a 75-year-old couple named Lolo and Lola Silvero, who play Axie to supplement the $5-6 they make from a small shop per day and pay for their medical expenses. If you've been paying close attention, you might ask, how could Lolo and Lola afford to buy 3 Axies required to get started? Don't they cost at least $195? I'm glad you asked. This is one of the most fascinating things that happen in the Axie economy. Scholarship programs have sprung up across the globe to provide aspiring players with their own teams of Axies. The scholarship essentially rents players Axis and gets paid back through a revenue share from SLP proceeds. Amazing, fascinating. So because it's so hard to get the money to get in, the barrier of entry is really hard, there are scholarship programs that will lend you the money or will lend you their Axie, and you will basically have to pay them back in rev share, which is fascinating. The documentary highlights both a local scholarship program in Cabanatuan, which provides Axies and training tool to local players, and Yield Guild Games, which does the same globally for Axis Infinity and emerging games like the Sandbox and the League of Kingdoms. Scores of people send real, well-formatted resumes to the Yield Guild and other scholarship programs every day, showing off not just their professional credentials, but their gaming experience as well. So, wanted to be with me right now. Imagine the whole process of applying to college, to going to a good university, to getting a job, is now the same process to get a scholarship, to get a pet NFT. That's what they're talking about. People are competing for these scholarships so they can get that pet NFT on loan to get inside the game and start playing. This is fascinating on so many levels. Because there's more demand than Yield Guild can meet, it launched a Sponsor-a-Scholar program that lets benefactors give players their start. Lee Jin recently announced the Lee Pincorgi Scholarship, which funded a total of 87 scholarships from the proceeds of an NFT sale. Let's pause. This is wild. The proceeds from NFT auctions are going to scholarships to support people in developing countries who want to earn a living by playing a free-to-earn NFT-based game in the metaverse. If I'd written that sentence 18 months ago, you would have all looked at me like I was crazy. You still might be looking at me, I'm crazy right now, but they're not even alone. Okay, sorry, got mixed up here. Packy, I'm not looking at you as crazy. There's nothing crazy about this. I think this is an excellent example of how we're gonna move slowly to a world that reminds us of, a player, what was that name of the movie? Player One, or just kind of like, a lot of sci-fi movies that just kind of played with the idea that there is going to be a virtual world where we're going to live most of our lives in there rather outside. There's going to be kind of a switch. You're going to use the real world to just probably sleep, eat, and you're going to use the metaverse to actually work, interact, and create a social life and all those things. CoinGecko recently put together a list of 10 Axie scholarship providers. What's crazy is to see is that most of them are based in the Philippines themselves. This isn't developed countries extracting from developing ones. It's people in developing countries helping each other out and building successfully bigger businesses on top of Axie's platform. Axie Scholarship List and Getting Started Guide. Okay, so interesting here to see all the different guilds. In a world that rapidly moved online at the same time that blockchain-based businesses and economies found product market fit, Axie Infinity is more likely to be a glimpse into the future of work than a flash in the pan. People are building businesses in the metaverse from wherever they happen to live. The metaverse is already here and it's evenly distributed. Already, in addition to scholarships, sponsors are offering to support players and providing their own play-to-earn quest. DeFi protocols have been the first big sponsors, rewarding Axie players with their own assets for completing quests. Maker gave players its stablecoin, DAI Avi gave players its AAVE token, and Digex gave players real gold. In other words, sponsors are directly rewarding players for their attention. The opportunity to make a living playing games was enough to get hundreds of thousands of people, an estimated 60% of whom are in the Philippines, to go through Axie's complicated onboarding process. Axie's current 600K players are just a fraction of the Philippines' 111 million people, let alone the addressable population of play-to-earn players around the world. Even before the past 3 months rush, the appeal of Axie's model created a crash of demand that flooded Ethereum, whose gas fees crushed Axie in turn. So Sky Mavis decided to take matters in its own hand. Okay, so there was a spike in the gas fees in Ethereum, which sadly I don't have my own video for this, but I'm going to link one in the description. And those gas fees created a situation where it was hard to, do NFT transactions. So we're going to read what they did. Last June, when DeFi summer was getting underway, Ethereum was awoken from its 2-year slumber by the loud clutter of demand for block space. At the time, Axie Infinity built right on top of Ethereum blockchain for its most commonly used items, Axie NFTs and SLP tokens. It kept its less frequently used land NFTs and item NFTs in a Loom sidechain and hadn't yet released its AXS government token. Axie NFT and SLP activity contributed to growing congestion on the Ethereum network and also suffered when gas prices on Ethereum spiked in a June blog post. The team wrote as much, calling Ethereum network congestion a perpetual thorn in our side. In the post, they announced that they were building their own sidechain. In order for Axie Infinity to reach our 2nd, 3rd, and 4th degree connections, Axie needs a long-term solution that makes participating in the Axie game and economy fast, cheap, and seamless. We need it to be fun and easy. That's why today we're announcing our work on Ronin, an Ethereum-linked sidechain made specifically for Axie Infinity. A Ronin was a samurai without a master in feudal Japan, and Ronin represents our desire to take the destiny of our product into our own hands. Okay, so a lot to take in. They wanted to basically not have the dependency on the gas fees of Ethereum. So that's that in a nutshell. Many decentralized apps built on Ethereum felt the pain of congestion. Very few built their own sidechains instead of opting to use other layer 2 scaling solutions like Polygon and Optimism. Even Uniswap, Ethereum's biggest gas guzzler, decided to launch on V3 on Ethereum mainnet and Optimism instead of building its own. Not Axie. Axie wanted to build its own sidechain, Ronin, with its own wallet. That would be ambitious at today's massive volumes. It was particularly ambitious back then, given that in June 2020, Axie did a measly $2,000 in revenue. But they went for it. Built for a year, and in early May, Axie Infinity migrated to Ronin. After the migration, everything in Axie universe took place on the Ronin sidechain and bridged into Ethereum when needed. Today, SLP and AXS are the main items that go over the bridge. The ERC-721 assets, Axie's land, and items aren't yet transferable over the bridge, but Gio told me people haven't been asking for that feature yet. The assets are more valuable within the Axie universe than they are anywhere else, and largely thanks to Ronin. There was more activity happening inside of the Axie universe than there is anywhere else in Web3. Okay, let's get ready to jump into the numbers. We're talking about games today, so let's play a game. Spot the place on this chart where Axie released Ronin. Okay, yeah, I can spot it. So you can see where the blue line starts from the bottom. That's where they released Ronin. Okay, since unblocking the congestion issue in May, Axie has caught fire. You can see it in the graph above. If it keeps going at this pace, its revenue is headed to infinity and beyond. Yeah, something like that. Very interesting. But even that graph doesn't quite put it into context. That's nearly unprecedented growth at scale for any company. Roblox, a 43 billion public company, did 144 million in April and its 17th year of operations. It's among all-time best performance in gaming, made all the more impressive given that Axie breaks the free-to-play model that dominated the past decade. Axie is on pace to generate $150 million just from its 4.25% cut. On Tuesday alone, it did 32 million in total transaction volumes, which is a closer comp to free-to-play games' top-line revenue. It gets really wild when you compare it to other blockchain-based apps and the entire blockchains. Where to begin? Let's compare Axie with all of the other D apps and blockchains based on revenue. Over the past 7 days, Axie Infinity has generated more total revenue than any D app or blockchain except for Ethereum, which barely nudges it out. Okay, so you're kind of understanding here that their really killing it in compared to other companies. We've talked about this in the beginning. Roblox, which I'm invested in, is going to look like a very small company next to these guys if they're going to continue growing. So let's continue. Over the past 7 days, Axis Infinity has generated more total revenue than any DApp or blockchain expect for Ethereum, which barely nudges it out. Interestingly, if you take out the roughly 2.2 million in gas fees that Axie paid to Ethereum over the past week, Axie retakes the lead. It generated 39 million in revenue compared to Bitcoin's 4.5, or as Geo so eloquently put it, the pets are generating 7x the fees of the pet rock. Even better, Axie Infinity is community treasury. Community treasury is capturing this revenue. It's not being paid out as a gas or other mining fees. When you just compare protocol revenue, the amount captured by the protocol itself, Axie blows the competition out of the water. So understand by now that their community treasury is capturing all this revenue all the way to the bottom line. They're making tons of money. And this is just mind-blowing to know that this exists in the world. And with everything we've seen lately, this just makes everything look just super normal. Over the past 30 days, according to Token Terminal, Axie has generated more than 7x the protocol revenue than its next closest competitor, PancakeSwap, the leading DEX on the Binance Smart Chain. It also beats out DeFi giants like Compound, Avi, SushiSwap, and MakerDAO. What's even wilder is that Axie generated more protocol revenue in the last 30 days than any other DApps or blockchains in the set made in the past year. Crazy. Not bad for a cute game, but how it's doing against the NFT marketplaces in terms of total volume. Certainly people can be buying more money's worth of Axie than all of the NFTs on OpenSea or CryptoPunks, right? It's now third all-time by volume, and amazingly, its past 30-day volume alone would rank third all-time. With all of that activity, despite the fact that the most of the action takes place on the Ronin sidechain, Axie is still the number 4 gas guzzler on Ethereum. Finally, there's the tokens themselves. XS, the game's government's token, dropped in early November 2020, has grown 10,964% since, to a market cap of $1.1 billion. Despite the rapid growth, according to Delphi Digital, Axis still only trades at a PE ratio of 7.7x. Delphi is an investor in Axie, one of the best Web3 research companies, and helped design the AXS token, so their understanding of this protocol is second to none. There's a whole economy around the token. It generates real income for real people. And if you now want to just, take it into the world of price to earnings, 7.7, which is way lower than what you have on the S&P 500 or the NASDAQ. Compare Axie's 7.7 PE to Roblox, which is still unprofitable, and Grand Theft Auto maker Take-Two, which trades at a 33.5x PE ratio. If Axie can even maintain current levels, these levels will look incredibly cheap. Packy could go on, but suffice it to say, this game is an absolute monster, pun intended. Haha. But it's not just about the money. Axie pulled its players on the main motivation for playing Axie Infinity. 48% said they played for the economy, forming a solid base of people building livings on the platform, but 37% said that their main motivation is the community. The community mainly lives on the Discord server. It's one of the only handful of Discord servers which over 500,000 people in the world. Till very recently, Discord didn't even support communities over 500k people. Fortnite, for comparison, has around 800,000. Numbers can be gamed, real community and product love can't. Over the past week, Axie has seen so much volume that its servers have been going down. The company sent a message in its Discord saying, hooking a game up to blockchain data is a new invention, something that nobody has ever done before with a large number of players. Things are going smoothly until the last few weeks, but the server started to break down once we passed 500,000 daily active players. Okay, 500,000 daily active players. I'm pretty sure if we check games such as World of Warcraft that are still around and all kinds of AAA mass multiplayer games, I'm pretty sure that a lot of them have days that they don't reach 500,000 daily active users. Crazy. That's a huge problem and a great problem to have. Many of Axie's users can't play. They're going up continuously every minute. Axie's revenue numbers seem to have stalled for a few hours yesterday, and yet people keep trying to get in and play. I can't stop playing Axie Infinity. It will be fascinating to see how quickly and fiercely they bounce back once everything is running smoothly again. Okay, so you can see here a tweet, full announcement. Okay. What's most amazing about these issues is the response from the community, many of whom rely on Axie to make a living and were temporarily shut out. Go read the replies to that tweet. Gio told me that he's most worried about the community staying tight-knit, civil, and loving as they scale. This test seems to be providing that for now they're good, which is important because community love is a key piece of Axie Infinity strategy. Vertical integration in a world of Lego blocks. If we can build a community of millions of blockchain-educated users by bringing in new types of people, then we can build a juggernaut that eats other products. Jiho. Remember that quote from way back in the beginning of the piece, that one about cute, innocent-looking Axies masking the fact that it's a strategic game? The same can be said about Sky Mavis' overall strategy, which is a never-seen-before combination of vertical integration and decentralization. Part of the beauty of Web3 is that you can snap together existing protocols and smart contracts and blockchains and L2s and the apps like Legos. That's called composability. It means that companies can move faster and build more and more complex, mind-blowing products with fewer resources. The Sky Mavis team strategy for Axie Infinity is not that. SpaceX is the first vertically integrated rocket company. Tesla is the first vertically integrated electrical car company. Axie is the first vertically integrated NFT game. This Tesla SpaceX analogy seems to be a common refrain in the Axie community. Gio made the same comparison when we spoke, reasoning that when you're building something really complex, you need to build everything in-house. Tesla builds its own batteries, software, and parts. SpaceX built its entire supply chain from scratch, from rocket engines to electronic components. And Sky Mavis is building everything itself too. That started with the intellectual property IP, the Axies themselves. Sky Mavis created the origin Axies and mascots and still holds them in its own wallet. Next came the game, which Sky Mavis developed and illustrated in-house. Next, Axie built its own NFT marketplace in early 2018, despite the fact that OpenSea had already launched in December 2017, and is likely where the team would have bought and sold CryptoKitties. As mentioned, over the past month, Axie's NFT marketplace has done more volume over the past 30 days than OpenSea has, despite only including Axie-specific NFTs. Axie is also building its own world, Lunacia, and began auctioning off parcels in 2019. Later that year, it merged its Axie and Land marketplace into one. In the near future, although near future is a running joke in the community, it plans to release land-based gameplay, opening up new ways to engage the community and, importantly, new ways for players to earn money. Sky Mavis also introduced their own in-game currency exchangeable for fiat via Ethereum SLP, and in November dropped its own government's token AXS. As discussed, fed up with Ethereum's congestion and gas fees and not content with other people's L2 solutions, Sky Mavis built and merged its own sidechain Ronin and associated Ronin wallet, which people need to install to play the game. So we've gone all over this, nothing new here. That's a hungry Axie, and that's just everything to date. What's next? Okay. Hungry Axies. Think about why vertical integration makes sense, particularly in presence of good enough modularized components. Vertical integration is preferable if it can lower Axies costs and create better user experiences. Currently, the main place that players are spending transaction fees outside of the Axie universe, and the biggest point of friction for frequent use case, is when they need to exchange their SLP for ETH for fiat on the X like Uniswap. Okay, so there's probably friction around getting back the money as fiat. The next step in Axie vertical integration is to build its own DX. Okay, currently the plan is to make it easier for players to exchange their Axie-related tokens into money spendable in the real world, which is crucial for play to earn, according to this guy, that would save a lot of headache in itself. Axie Infinities, so no more bridge to the MetaMask. Use exchange A to get SLP, the exchange B to get AXS, then bridge twice to get back, all while keeping track of gas and wallets. Now it will just be something easy and gas-free. These new players have it too easy. Why back in my day, lol. Okay, so just basically a joke of somebody saying that things are becoming much easier here. But it also gives the Axie protocol more incentive to tokenize more things, experience points, the Ronin sidechain itself, all tradable on the Ronin DEX. Gio told me that he thinks it can become the most used DEX by number of users of all time, which sounds crazy until you realize the secret that Axie has figured out. One of crypto's biggest challenges to date has been figuring out mass adoption and use cases that keep people coming back. If Axie is able to amass the largest user base in crypto, help them earn a living, and keep them happy and engaged, they can turn that fire hose on any product they choose. That's why they're vertically integrating now. They have the users, they want to capture the upside and make their user experience better. Axie isn't just building a game, it's building the Web3 aggregator and backwards integrating to own as much of the value chain as possible. Plus, by creating something enjoyable in its own right and attracting a ton of eyeballs, Axie is attracting capital that's not seeking a return. That's rare in crypto. That lowers its cost capital and creates free revenue in a way that DeFi protocol can't. As just a few examples. Okay, so here are some examples. People buy Axies as pets. There are 2 billion pet owners worldwide, 99.9999% of whom buy pets knowing that they'll lose a lot of money. So yes, if you have a dog or you have a cat and you live in a first world country, you know how costly it has been to basically just maintain your pet in terms of food and health. I'm not even talking about buying them any kind of accessories or toys. Okay. Axie is already attracting many people who just buy their Axies as pets with no expectation of return. People who just love the game. 15% of Axie players cite the gameplay as their main motivation in playing Axie, ahead of the economy or community. Axie is doubling down here by investing in better gameplay and animations. Okay, so Axie is basically saying, we're not building on the concept of people coming in here just to make money. We're creating amazing gameplay, and if the economy can be a upside on top of it, then more power. Okay, esports tournaments. Axie lends itself well to esports tournaments and is already seeing its Twitch viewership rise in line with recent activity. These tournaments will bring sponsorship money into ecosystem in exchange for eyeballs. Sponsors providing exogenous capital. As other aggregators like Facebook and Google know well, when you have a lot of users, you have a money printing machine. Sponsors like AV are already dumping exogenous capital into the system, and as Axie's daily active users climb into the millions, there will be no shortage of sponsorship opportunities. Because revenues go to the community treasury, which will be controlled by the players, the sponsorship relationship can be accretive instead of extractive. But it gets crazier. Instead of keeping that money and power in the hands of the small 40-person core team at SkyMavis, Axie is decentralizing at the same time as it's vertically integrating. A lot here to capture. Something really important that I didn't even notice until now is that esports tournaments. I didn't even think about it. It's a competitive game. You can have esports. So that just blows my mind. Decentralizing the Axie universe. Axie is decentralized in a few ways. First, later this year, the AXS ecosystem begins. That Axie did the public sale of its AXS governance tokens back in November 2020, selling 11% of tokens to the public, along with a private sale. Advisory shares, the SkyMavis team and the ecosystem fund, 22.2% of the total 270 million AXS max started circulating then. Okay, in order to progressively decentralize, i.e. let the core team make decisions on behalf of the community, the SkyMavis team is able to vote the locked play to earn and staking reward tokens. As more AXS tokens are unlocked over a 65-month schedule, SkyMavis will slowly lose voting power until it loses its majority sometime in late 2023. To date, play to earn has centered around earning SLP tokens, but in the coming months, players will also be able to earn AXS tokens through gameplay. At the same time, AXS holders will be able to stake their AXS to earn more staking rewards. Read more from Delphi here. And to vote on the future direction of the game. In the white paper, the team laid out a few of the types of things that the community should be able to vote on. So this is where it gets really interesting. The community can start voting at a certain point. The people who invented the game will lose power on what can happen. Should Axis Infinity Limited continue to pay SkyMavis to develop Axie Infinity? Wow, that is crazy. In my opinion, it's one of the most genius moves a company can ever do. Okay, let's continue. Should Axie Infinity use the marketplace created by SkyMavis? How should the community treasury be used to reward AXS holders and the broader Axie community? Should the community treasury funds be attached to any yield farming staking services such as Yearn Finance or Rari Capital? In the second part of the 1-2 decentralization punch, SkyMavis is going to open up an SDK to let other developers build new things. Gio called it the Internet Monster Protocol, where people can access the IP and make stuff. The team envisions being able to use Axes across many user-generated games within one Axie universe. Already, members of the community are generating Axie content just for fun with no expectation of reward. Okay, Luciana is always safe when Galderiel is on patrol. Today, Axie Infinity announced a new esports server. We will see you there. Incredible artwork. Let's see what we have here. Very nice. Okay, and here. Axie King, Axie Infinity, and more awesome Axie. So, okay, let's continue on. Within the next 2 years, it's all going according to plan. Axie players will govern the direction of community, mainly via voting on the use of community treasury funds. They will be able to build extensions to the universe themselves, all while earning tokens for their work. They might even decide to undo Axie's vertical integration or make new and better marketplaces, sidechains, wallets, and exchanges. If they pull it off, Axie will be like Roblox on steroids, with better margins and better incentive alignment. Axie might become an even more important corner of the metaverse and a beacon for people building centralized worlds online that blur work and play. Infinity possibilities. At what point does the virtual world intersect with and influence the physical one? Today, right now, hundreds of thousands of people are making a living playing a video game in a virtual world. They're participants in a virtual economy who use their spoils to improve their lot in the physical world. Kids in the Philippines, Vietnam, Brazil, and beyond are applying for Axie scholarships, like they would apply for college or job, hoping to bend their trajectories upwards. So I already talked about this. For me, it's amazing and fascinating that people are polishing their resumes to get these scholarships. In the virtual realm, Axie Infinity will expand and leverage its IP in predictable ways. Content. There's almost zero chance we don't see an Axie movie or Netflix show in the next few years. Might NFT ownership of Axies used in films generate royalty streams for their owners? Could owners of certain mystic Axies negotiate with studios directly or build their own character online as possible and contemplating with Bored Apes and CryptoPunks? Universe expansion and the UGC. The Axie team has already said they can't make enough content experiences to keep up with the growing user demand, and that they want to turn to players for help. Might Axie Infinity become a platform for builders, the next Roblox? One that better aligns incentives and gives creators more tools to make money? It's always a good situation where a company can't meet the demand. It's one of the better problems to have. So just gonna note that. Crypto expansion. Having onboarded hundreds of thousands and soon millions of new users onto crypto, will Axie offer these crypto neophytes an increasing suite of tools to not just earn but manage and grow their stacks? It sounds hyperbolic, and at this point, a couple of months into real revenue growth, it certainly is. But there is a chance that Axie Infinity could become the most valuable IP of all time. The current leader is unconditionally the franchise to which Axie publicity compares itself most often. Okay, so the 25 highest grossing media franchises of all time: Pokemon, Star Wars, Harry Potter, Batman, Barbie. Okay. It will be fascinating to watch all of that play out, but truly gargantuan impact could come when the Axie Infinity recognizes the power that it has to shape the real-world policy and help the world adapt to a future in which everyone no longer needs to work a traditional job to survive. Before Axie, Geo grew up collecting fossils and insects before studying military and economic history at Yale, where he wrote his thesis on Alexander Hamilton's debt restructuring plan. Axie is the intersection of those two nerdy passions, and a chance to use his knowledge and passion to help design new economies. When there are enough Axie players earning a living through the game, the team could work with governments to run controlled experiments on the impact of universal basic income. It's hard to measure the impact of UBI precisely in the messy environment that is the real world, but governments could run experiments wherein they give UBI to certain Axie players and measure whether they remain active players, builders, and community participants. One of the big challenges with UBI. So one of the big challenges with universal basic income is that work is more than just work. People find meaning in work. I really love my job. It's not about the income. So there's that. One of the big challenges with UBIs at work is about more than money. It's about meaning and belonging and a sense of self-worth. As more and more becomes automated and less human labor is required, we will need new ways to deliver those things along with a check. In Kurt Vonnegut's first novel, 1952's Player Piano, he describes a future world in which automation replaced the need for most jobs. And in the response, the government hires people to dig holes and fill them back in over and over. Axie might help usher in a more fulfilling and fun era of work in the metaverse. Am I getting ahead of myself? Sure, a lot could go wrong. This whole crypto thing could fall apart. He doesn't believe that, but it could. Even if it doesn't fall apart long term, another sustained crypto winter could lower the money available through play to earn, halt Axie's momentum, and break up the community. This is something to take into account. All these things work as long as the value of the cryptocurrencies inside these platforms actually still have value. If the value plummets, then people will just drop off the platform and go get fiat money through regular work. Vertically integrating instead of using best-in-class existing products and protocols means more opportunities to mess up. Decentralizing and giving power to the community can and will lead to unpredictable results. The servers could continue to go down under the load, and players might feel that they can no longer rely on Axie for their income. The servers could continue to go down under the load, and players might feel that they can no longer rely on Axie for their income. So that's just like people going to the bus station and no buses, and going to work and the door doesn't open. Gaming is notoriously fickle. 1 month's hot game could be old news the next. But it feels like something special is happening here. Play to Earn can onboard new users looking to earn a living and keep them engaged in ways that look more like long-term employment rather than latest gaming fad, turning Axie Infinity into a platform, and one owned and governed by users at that, can create a stickiness via network effects and high switching costs, as platforms are wont to do. The metaverse will need more than entertainment. It will need to blur the lines between entertainment and employment. Axie is already providing that's possible. Axie's ascent comes at a time when crypto is trading sideways, and it is trading sideways, and we know that, you know, there's a lot of people that are thinking that the next crypto winter has just started, and we're in the early stages of it, so take that into account. When NFTs are supposed to be dead, and when people are questioning whether this whole Web3 thing will really have any real-world impact, in a category that typically trades in lockstep, Axie's outperformance seems like something that's worth paying attention to. When we look back in a decade or two, my bet is that this period in Axie's life is just the start of something huge, a small blip in a much bigger graph. When we look back in a decade or two, my bet is that period in Axie's life is just the start of something huge. So Packy here is betting that this is just kind of firing shot of something that's going to be way bigger in 2-3 decades from now. He's saying here something huge, a small blip on a much bigger graph, both in terms of revenue and impact. In the mid case, it's a player-owned Pokemon-sized juggernaut and an example of the benefits of virtual integration. In the bull case, it's a new nation based in the metaverse that improves the lives of millions of people around the world. Not bad for a cute little game. So after reading all this, I want to hear everything from you. I want to hear, what do you think about Packy's writing? What do you think about Axie's development? What do you think about the game? Are you going to try it? I want to hear from you everything. Once again, go subscribe to that Substack of Not Boring. I highly recommend. Let's help this Substack reach 1 million subscribers, because the level of writing here, the quality of it, is just the kind of quality of writing that deserves 1 million subscribers. So go to Not Boring. It's in the link in the description. And I hope you enjoyed this video. If you want to see more videos of me researching things related to the stock market, investing, startups, things like this, don't forget to hit subscribe and the bell for notifications so we can meet again in future videos. Thanks for watching. See you next time.